All right, so I do have a few other announcements real quick to let you know about. We do have a ribbon cutting going on at Kids Own Haircuts this Thursday at 3 p.m. And that's going to be at 261 West Marine, like I said, right there at Enterprise and where the old Panache was. FedEx Trattoria, which is right over here, they're going to be doing theirs on Thursday, November 3rd at 3:30, and that's at 112th Street, just right over here across the Riverwalk. Of course, our next Business After Hours is going to be hosted by the Lower Columbia Human Resource Management Association, and they're going to be hosting right over here at Bowie Beer. So we're going to have a lot of nice, great food, great conversation, especially if you have questions about HR with all the stuff that's going on with labor and that sort of thing. It's going to be a great evening for that. And then, of course, we're going to be at the Liberty Theater on November 10th, so can't wait for that. We also have our, as Meredith mentioned, our Wednesday Lunch and Learn on November 16th. That's going to be from noon to 1 at Seaport Masonic Lodge, and Meredith's going to guide us through some hypnotherapy sessions and focusing on getting out of your own way. So we're excited about that as well. So I'm going to pass the mic off to Kevin. Kevin's going to tell us what's going on at SBDC.
Thank you, Scott. Step in here so I can see everybody. So we have, with CEDR, we have enterprise zone meetings starting actually tomorrow night. This is for WCT Marine out of North Penn Point. It's a $22 million investment in our community with a 1,500-ton mobile travel lift that's going to be installed in the next few years. So we have to get the approval from our 4 sponsors. It's going to be, bottom line, it's ultimately a $31 million investment in the community. It is, as part of the enterprise zone, the WCT Marine has to add 50 more jobs, 50, and ultimately it'll be another 150 jobs. So that's going to be a big, big deal for our community. We're very excited about that opportunity, and I'm sure all the sponsors will be very supportive also. Our Clatsop Works program, our paid internship program, that Misty Bateman oversees. We have our employer deadline coming up on December the 15th. She's out there, she's at Astoria High School today, she's at Seaside High School yesterday, she was at parent-teacher conferences at Knapp and Jewel High School last week. Warrenton, Clatsop Community College, she's really making the rounds, she's doing a great job. So if you want to be an employer or learn more about that, see myself or go to clatsopworks.com. And of course, we're actively recruiting for our students. And I thought Sierra could hand out, we have some very exciting workshops coming up here at the SBDC. Well, first of all, we have our Small Business Management Program. That is our 9-month program. We have many graduates throughout the community. Some here it's this morning. It kicks off November the 16th. It's $699. We do have, upon completion of the course, a $350 scholarship back that's supported by CEDR, and also Pacific Power supporting scholarships. So again, the information is on the flyer here. We've been talking about this, but we still have some seats available for that. And we also have an income tax workshop. This is the first ever. Wendy Ludwig from our Coast Community College sister. One of the best parts about being in the SBDC is we work very collaboratively. Wendy's phenomenal, and she's doing an income tax workshop. And again, the details are on there. That's going to be on Zoom. By the way, the SBM program will be here in Astoria. Will be both live and Zoom. We're doing it hybrid. And this one with Wendy will be via Zoom. So please sign up. We're already getting a lot of sign-ups. It's going to be great information, and you've all asked for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Lots of great things going on at SBDC. In fact, I got class this afternoon, so. Okay. Well, I'm going to let David introduce you while we get the projector ready.
Wonderful. So we always try very hard to bring you the highest content for our monthly meetings, and I think we've hit the mark this time. Not only what they're currently doing, what the future plans are for these two groups, but also what they've done for the community and the arts during the pandemic, keeping this thing alive and keeping it vibrant. So I want to introduce Annie Eskelin of Astoria Visual Arts and Jennifer Crockett of the Liberty Theater. They're going to be sharing their perspective on arts in Clatsop County. So I start with you, Jen.
Thanks, David. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jennifer Crockett. I'm the Executive Director of the Liberty Theater. I also sit on the Independent Venue Coalition Board for the state of Oregon, and I'm part of a special advisory committee for Congresswoman Bonamici. I'm also a busy clarinetist. I play with the Oregon Symphony, the Oregon Ballet Theater, and the local North Oregon Coast Symphony, which is awesome. So I thought I would start really high level and then boil it down to what the arts look like locally. So high level, nationwide, a lot of people don't know this. Arts and culture are 4.2% of the American GDP. This represents, it's a larger share of the economy than transportation, tourism, construction, and agriculture. Arts facts in Oregon. Oh, my visuals aren't showing up. It's a really cute picture of the United States. In Oregon, arts represent an $8 million industry. We are 3.3% of the total share of the gross state project, and we represent 61,000 jobs. So quite a significant share of our gross state product. So every few years, the Americans for the Arts come to Clatsop County. They do surveys all over the country. The most recent one was in 2017, and there's a current one taking place right now. You might see some surveyors at the theater, also I think 1015, all over the county. And what they're doing is trying to figure out how much do people spend around arts events. So they will approach people in lobbies and they'll say, where do you live? Did you stay here? Did you find a hotel room? Did you eat dinner before the show? How much did you spend? Did you buy a gift in town? How much did it cost for you to drive here? So they're trying to get as much information as they can about people that go to arts events. And this information we take back when we write grants, when we talk to donors, when we sit on boards. This information gets turned in so many different ways. The nonprofit arts and culture sector is a $13.7 million industry in Clatsop County, one that supports 359 full-time jobs and generates $1.3 million in local and state government revenue. That 359 jobs is about half of what other counties have with the same amount of generation. So it's notable in that we have almost 400 nonprofits in Clatsop County. And think of all of the nonprofits that you know that are run by volunteers. They have no staff. Maybe they have a quarter paid staff. Maybe they have a half paid staff. So that's something that we're working on right now in the arts when we're working with Oregon Arts Commission to talk about arts districts in Clatsop County. We're thinking, how do the arts become part of the housing solution? How do we help? We clearly have a shortage of arts jobs compared to other counties. We clearly have a housing problem. So how can the arts become part of that solution so that we have a seat at the table in discussing these things? So that's just one of the things we're working on. In Clatsop County, we have 16 performing arts organizations. During COVID, when we all had to close, we lack a traditional arts council in our county, so Liberty stepped up. We started the North Coast Performing Arts Alliance within a month of closures. We had it was 17, one of them moved out to the East Coast and closed. But so now we have 16, all 16 organizations came under our wing. We were holding fundraising workshops, grant writing workshops. The simple goal was all of us need to stay alive through COVID. Every arts organization needs to make it through. Two of our organizations held their first fundraising appeal, and one of them wrote their very first grant. So all of us made it through. We all collaborated together on how to reopen, how to navigate the constantly changing guidelines, but we all made it. We're all still here, which is excellent.
Jen, can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah. We had a lot of help. So thank you. So back to that survey that they do. Thanks to that survey, so they go through and like I said, they ask people, how much did you spend on a hotel room? How much did you spend on dinner? They found that average event attendees spend about $67.49 per person in our county. That does not include the ticket, the event admission. It does include lodging, meals, gifts, and transportation. So we're able to take those numbers and we crunch them against our ticketing software, and we can say that every dollar spent at the Liberty Theater is matched in our community. It's really close to $1. So when that last survey came through, and our operating budget at the time was $850,000 a year, we were contributing about $825,000 a year to the community around us. And we do that a number of different ways. We partner with restaurants for tickets, we partner with hotels. We know that we're only as strong as the business community around us. If everything else is closed, nobody's gonna come here to see the theater. So, and it works both ways. So we do our best to make sure we're partnering as much as we can. So the Liberty Means Business, 2019 by the numbers, we had 17,000 patrons. 55% were local, 45% were from outside Clatsop County. We still have some work to do. A historic theater like ours would normally be more 50-50. So we are focusing a lot on pulling from metro areas. We had 142 public and private events. We had 436 artists paid on our stage. We always pay our performers. I'm a performer, I feel very strongly about that. I will beg, borrow, and steal to make sure that our performers are paid. 4,685 people attended free events. We're a nonprofit, our mission is to be a gathering space. We try to do at least one free event a month, sometimes more than that. 2,516 kids attended youth programs. We, every May, we bus in kids from 3 different counties for their very first ballet performance at the Liberty Theater. We also have programs year-round. That number is about to go way up. As many of you know, we had a board member that donated $100,000 last year to start our very first after-school year-round theater program. We're building a kid-sized black box theater in the second floor of the theater. It has lighting rigs that kids can lower down so we don't have to put them on ladders. It's fully ADA accessible. We have classroom spaces. We plan on doing a couple of sharing events throughout the year, but this is a dedicated after-school program that's going to start at spring break. And our, like I said, $814,000 was our economic impact in 2019, with an operating budget of about $850,000. The Liberty Means Business jobs. So I think a lot of folks still think of us as that little theater down the street. We are one of the largest nonprofit historic theaters in rural Oregon, if not the largest. When I started, our operating budget was just over $300,000 a year, and there were 2 of us that worked there. And my husband famously was, I called him our assistant volunteer executive director. He worked every single show with me. But now we have 12 people there. Our full-time equivalent is 8.25. We're now a $1.4 million organization. We will double again by our 100th birthday in 2025. Our goal is to be a $2 million organization. So we have me, the full-time executive director. I have a full-time technical director. He's the one that takes the show riders and turns them into what you see on the stage. He oversees all of the lighting, the sound, the load-in, every single aspect of the show. We have a full-time program director that we just hired thanks to that gift from our board member, Mike and Laura Brocious. And the program director, she will oversee the theater school. We're calling it Kids Make Theater, so she's full-time. She is moving here from Denver early next year. We have a full-time office manager. Many of you have interacted with Nancy. Nancy is the unsung hero of the Liberty Theater. She does all of the stage scheduling, all of the banquet hall scheduling. She runs our day-to-day operations. We have a full-time front of house manager. Joey oversees the box office, the concession stand, basically everything from the lip of the stage to the curb is Joey's job. He also runs our volunteer program. We have a full-time marketing manager that was just hired with the help of Murdoch Charitable Trust. They got us a grant. It's a 3-year grant, basically as a runway to be able to make this a sustainable position. And so you might see our social media has been a lot more active. We have a lot more ads going out. We have been actually able to tell people what's going on rather than making you just intuit that we have a show. We have a part-time technical assistant that assists the technical director. So obviously Larry, our technical director, can't be there for every show, so Kelly often steps in. We have a part-time stagehand that is basically on the curb, ready to greet artists when they arrive. She has set up the green room for them. She holds our artist's hand from the second they arrive until the second they leave. Load in for us, we usually start setting up. If we have an 8 o'clock show, we're all on site at 11 starting to set up. Artists usually arrive around 2 or 3 o'clock, and then it's off to the races with load in and sound checks, and then the show, and then the load out. We're usually out around 11 o'clock or midnight, so it is long days. We have a part-time lead usher. You may have seen Susan in the lobby. She is the one that gives all of our ushers that show up to events their assignment for the night. She also does all of our new volunteer training. As you might expect, if you become a volunteer at the theater, you need to know, how do we get people out of here in the event of an emergency? What do we do if someone falls or has a medical emergency? There's all sorts of training involved with that. We have a part-time box office associate. Sen is in there a couple of days a week working, selling tickets. Concessions associate. Julia is brand new to us. She's usually bartending at our events. And then we have a part-time custodian. So it is about a 20-hour-a-week job. We are a 40,000 square foot facility. He doesn't need to clean all of it, but Bill is busy. So partnerships, we also create partnerships. Each year we partner with our schools. As I mentioned, we have field trips and after-school programs. We partner with our local shops, hotels, restaurants. As I mentioned, we acknowledge that we're only as strong as the business community around us. We partner with 17 performing arts organizations across the county. We do grant writing workshops, we do fundraising workshops, development workshops. We'll talk to other boards. We partner with local cultural advocacy organizations, tribes, LGBTQ, and other equity organizations. In addition to all that, we also put on shows. We just had Pink Martini, we had David Sedaris earlier in the year. We also don't take ourselves too seriously. We've got Stunt Dogs coming up, which is like the highest selling show. It's going to be a bunch of rescue dogs jumping through fake flaming hoops. We don't want to burn Astoria down again, so they're fake, but they look really real. So, and we also started hosting a D&D night, one night a month. Kelly, our technical director, is spearheading that, and it's becoming really popular. Any questions? My funny card is hard to read. I thought I would give you some prompts here for questions. Yes, we're haunted. One time, Chris Novoselic from Nirvana fixed my printer. Teenage me would be super stoked. None of the Santas in town get along with each other. Ask me how I know. Yes, I did get to spend all afternoon with David Sedaris, and he really loved our post office. He is coming back in 2023 in the fall, and he wants to actually get a tour of the post office, which I loved. One time a dead rat fell out of our curtain during a show. You can ask me about that. And you can also walk on top of our chandelier. Ask me how. So any questions?
How do you get to walk on top of the chandelier?
That's a great question, David. We give tours. You can get a private tour of the Liberty Theater, and at the end of it, we'll take you up on top of our chandelier. So if you're interested in that, oh, you can't read my contact info, but you know where to find me. You can find me at the Liberty Theater, you can stop by our box office, or you can visit our website to get tickets or to contact the admin office. So, oh, yes?
Did you ever think of getting cats to do a show so they could kill the rats instead of the dogs?
You know, that's a really good idea. I have actually thought of flooding the theater with cats after dark. When I started there, it was like Disneyland with, I had a rat jump out of my office drawer one time, but now we treat it like a campsite. You have to pack out all of your food at the end of the day. So we pretend there are bears. And so we've managed to get that problem under control. I know, yeah. You had a question in the back.
Yeah, what have you had for paranormal experiences?
Oh, what have I had? Well, so we have 2 paranormal tours coming up. So for anybody, I think they're almost sold out. But so the theater has the same lighting in it after we close down. There's no light coming in from the street, so it should theoretically look exactly the same every single time. But there's very clearly sometimes somebody sitting up in the balcony, You can see it from time to time. And when I first started, I did not share that with Nate. And then my husband Nate came tearing up the hill one night after a show. And he's like, I saw somebody sitting in the balcony, and I went up there and there was nobody up there. So that's my experience. Lots of people have had all sorts of crazy things happen at the theater. Anything else? Awesome. Well, thanks for having me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Quick switch.
Yeah.
Don't pull too hard. Is it a PDF or a PowerPoint?
PowerPoint.
Hello. Hello, good morning. My name is Annie Eskelin. I'm the Executive Director for Astoria Visual Arts. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded in 1989, so we've been around for over 30 years. I am the first Executive Director that Astoria Visual Arts has had. I started in 2018. I began working with the organization in 2015, right when I moved to town. And we service the arts throughout the Lower Columbia Pacific region. So we like to say Greater Astoria, so that's across the river. We have an artist from Rockaway Beach in our current show, Cannon Beach, Seaside. It depends on our programming. Some of our programming spans about five counties in both Oregon and in Washington. And slideshow's not playing at the moment, so I will enjoy it from over here on this side. Good night. So we run a number of ongoing programs. We have a nonprofit gallery, and that's an important distinction from a lot of the for-profit galleries in town. I have a slideshow, real brief about just a few of the different types of shows that a nonprofit gallery puts on as opposed to a for-profit gallery. It's a very important aspect to have for our community. We have a community arts education program that is in the local schools in Napa High School and Astoria High School. We also work at Gray School, the alternative location for Astoria High School. We have a new program that we work with Astoria Choice Online Academy, and that just started during COVID that we're really excited about. We run 3 artist residency programs, and just a regular artist in residence, so we have a free studio space for 6 months. That's an ongoing program. We have a partnership program with Western Recology Oregon that pays artists to make artwork from items reclaimed from the transfer station. That's really exciting. We just had our show that opened on October 8th. That's an annual program, and then we have a writer's in residence program. And here we go. So we have the writer residency. We have our writer, Jennifer D. Monroe. She's coming to speak on November 5th. We run the Astoria Open Studios Tour. This year we had 55 artists participating. That's the most we've ever had. This is the 12th annual year. And then we do some responsive programming. During COVID, we brought the mobile projection unit in, and we did mega light installations throughout downtown Astoria. That was the type of programming you could experience during COVID that was entirely outside. It was wonderful. We also, one of our new programs is the Summer Art Camp, which featured, we were able to have 150 kids at that 3 weeks of art camp. That was a partnership with the new nonprofit in town. One of the things that I wanted to mention on this slide is that we, similar to the Chamber, are a membership organization. So Can become a member. Member dollars are absolutely crucial for our organization, so they provide seed money for us to receive grants from foundations and government support. Without that money, those organizations wouldn't know that our community is behind what we do. So it's absolutely instrumental. You can go on our website, which of course is astoriavisualarts.org, and go to join us if you're interested in supporting what we do. We would really appreciate it. Spacebar? No. So this is our gallery space, nonprofit gallery space. It's on 10th and Duane. It's the old Van Dusen building. We've been there since January of 2019, so not very long. We just had our annual meeting, and so I have some pictures of some of our programs, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. So I want to run through those pictures really quick to get down to the meat of what I actually want to talk about. If I can. So in March we hosted the Chinook. We had a Chinook show, which was absolutely amazing. It was the start of their new campaign for federal recognition status. We had a horticulturist, a cartographer, and a plant-based exhibit that was absolutely amazing. One of our most recent exhibits in September, we had 20 artists from 3 countries, all highlighting the natural pigment indigo dye, which was amazing. Included a presentation and workshops for kids, arts education program, pictures from our art camp this summer. Artists in residence, Lindsay Arts is our current artist in residence. Again, November 5th is our writer residence public reading, which will be at AVA. Coastal Oregon Artist Residency, partnership with Ecology, Open Studios Tour. You can see you can't see very well, how across Astoria the studios are spread out. I wanted to say about that is funded also by the City of Astoria. Arts promote tourism dollars. So they're absolutely crucial funding for our small nonprofit. So this is a repeat of what Jennifer was saying, and one of the things I included this is because you can't see that at all, but the very bottom. So this economic survey was just for not the nonprofit sector. Astoria is an extremely artistic town, and a lot of that is actually the for-profit sector. So we have a tremendous amount of galleries in town. Astoria's best kept secret. It has an outstanding art scene. So I like to imagine myself, this has happened to me, I'm in downtown Astoria and I'm visiting for the first time. And where do you go to find information? You're walking, it's a wonderful gritty town. You've never been here before. So, let's start. So AVA is working on developing an Astoria art guide. And this is going to be an online resource that connects art businesses or art activities to make information available for not only our residents, but anyone who comes to town, whether that's the riverboats or the cruise ships. People who are from all over the world are coming to Astoria right now. And they're returning regularly because of the experiences that they're having here in downtown. So this is what we're working on. I want to first preface this that AVA is extremely small. Our budget this year is around $60,000. We run some just tremendous programming, and we do it all on a very shoestring, grassroots budget. So there's tremendous room for us to grow if we're going to look at the bright side of that. When I first started in 2018, our budget was around $15,000. So really, we did not do very much, is what that says. So the Astoria Art Guide will be an online resource. What we're hoping happens is that this resource is connected to the city, to the chamber, and to the Downtown Association. We view those places as where tourists go to find information. So the first thing I want to highlight is the Downtown Association. So they run the Astoria Art Walk. That happens once a month. So that information comes out once a month. People are visiting here 7 days a week. That is still a wonderful resource, and I give people the Astoria Art Walk map all the time. And here it is. So on the left, that's a list of 14 active galleries. There are 2 galleries that are not listed. That's 16 galleries in town. And then on the right are other exhibitions that are happening that feature original artists that happen during Art Walk. So there are 26 locations. This happens on second Saturday. So that's a lot of arts activities. That's Art Walk is a primary economic driver for our arts businesses. I also work at Riversea Gallery 4 days a week. That's my other kind of main gig, and I can tell you that Art Walk is often the highest dollar generating day of the month. So that's the Downtown Association. The Downtown Association. And they are, another thing I want to say about them is they're revisiting their website. Last month that Astoria Art Walk, as they're redesigning it, kind of in a working stance, last month that said arts and culture, which I was so excited about. And then this month it says Astoria Art Walk, which arts and culture is a span of what's going on. Astoria Art Walk is 1 day a month. Okay, so the chamber, I have a few slides from the chamber's website about browsing galleries. So here is Discover Astoria's Art Scene, which includes artists, chefs, musicians, craftsmen. I want to highlight that it's artwork, that the arts businesses are an absolute impact for our area, and we need to open that information up for tourists and visitors and the people who live here to share that information in a more cohesive way. Can't really see that. So here's a list, again, when you're on the chamber, of some of the art businesses in town. They're not art businesses that are listed. So I want to highlight that this is a place where tourists come for information about the art community. So that's why the Astoria Art Guide is so important that we're working on. So and I'm really excited about it. Okay, City of Astoria. So there's the third piece to this. So when you go to the city, so if you've never been here, you might find yourself on the website for the City of Astoria. And what the information is there is going to the Chamber of Commerce, the Column, the Trolley, Maritime Museum, Garden of Surging Waves, Travel Oregon, the Chamber again, and the Clatsop County Historical Society. Nothing about the arts in Astoria and how impactful and important it is. So we're going to try to change that. We're doing it the best we can with our limited resources. Another important reason that we're doing this is that it's not just Astoria that the information is shared. This is from the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, which connects back to the Chamber of Commerce for information for people. Cannon Beach has been named over and over one of America's 100 best art towns. Cannon Beach has 15 art galleries. I just shared with you that we have 16 art galleries. And that's just the main art galleries, not even all of the peripheral galleries. Astoria is an incredibly artistic place, and it's time that we shared that with the world. So we're working on that. When a community attracts cultural tourists, it harnesses significant economic rewards. And I'm gonna say that that is absolutely true. And hopefully in the next year, we can have this new project developed and we can partner. We did receive funding from the Chamber of Commerce and from the City of Astoria to move this art guide forward. And we're really excited to share it with you when it actually ends up coming out. And that's all I have. Oh, I want to say thank you, Jennifer. I took her grant writing workshop, and it was absolutely tremendous, and it definitely helped our small nonprofit to be able to grow. So thank you so much. Visit our website, AstoriaVisualArts.org. You go to the link all the way on the right. It says join us to find out more information about what we do. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Anne. How about one more round of applause for Annie and Jen? Wonderful work that they're doing. I also want to just remind you again, thank you for the coffee from TLC Division of Fiber Federal. That's one for you. And we have a couple more gold prizes.